Cook here. He will be presenting to us. We were classmates at Earl Haig, and we have Hannah Bell and Michael Pintucci will be hosts with Cameron, and you'll introduce them later on. You'll see all of that. So I need you really to give full attention and respect the way that you do to our guest. So I'm going to turn it over, and Savannah, we can begin. Thank you.
tight and enjoy.
Today we have a very special guest joining us all the way from Hollywood, LA.
A man who has grossed over $400 million worldwide, as well as his critically acclaimed and very successful DreamWorks short animation film that's multi-award winning.
A man who received an invitation from Warner Brothers and is now a multi-award winning writer, producer, director, and animator.
A man who needs absolutely no introduction. Please help me in welcoming Cam Hood.
Hello. Last time I was using a mic on the stage, I was actually Stops director. Three Stops? Yeah, Stops. Anyway, hi. Thank you so much for coming. I kind of half joked with my mother this morning that maybe like 30 people might show up at Kringen Hall. Because I used to skip these things when I was a kid. So I really appreciate you coming. So, let's start, I guess, from the beginning. I was born in Canada. I went to many clubs. So I'm actually kind of pissed at Mini Cloud right now. When I was, I think I was 11 or 12 when I got in there at Visual Arts. I think it was in early October. They had a contest to design a new logo, and that was my design. They chose mine. So it was like my first victory. And now I see that they changed it to some logo that I wouldn't have approved. So then obviously I think Earl Haig. But I really did ingratiate myself in all the arts when I was exposed to it at Mini-Clot, you know. Other than dance and like the jazz pants, I tried. But it was all like for the bigger dream of becoming a filmmaker one day. And I guess I chose visual arts because I could draw. And no, really, I mean, I didn't really realize, but right now I actually, what I make a living doing is I'm actually a storyteller. So I still draw, but I write a lot, and I work with actors, and as you can see, I wrote First Flight, you know, a few years ago. I thought it'd be a good thing to start with, to get an idea of my style and, you know, short. But yeah, you know, I learned through Claude Watson, I think, all those experiences and all those different parts of the arts really kind of helped me become the artist that I am. And I took an interest in music, drama, and dance a lot. Well, watching the girls dance. I have a pretty badass jazz squad run and a jazz squad. So if you guys see me walking out of here, you might see me jazz squad out of here. So I guess let's walk down memory lane. So when I was in high school, one of the things I was known for was drawing. I did draw a lot. I actually carried a sketchbook around a lot. I had some friends who went to Northern who were, I still see this day, who said they were highly influenced by me. But I used to go to the zoo a lot, and I used to draw, and I used to go to North York Civic Center, and I would actually draw people when I was eating my sub. And I noticed that Chubby's is gone. I don't know if you guys heard that. You know, really, I want to get a BLT today after this, but I can't. So. Anyway, just to give you guys an example of what I was always aiming for, you know, learning how to paint and that sort of thing was great when I was here. But I always try to think about movement. For some reason, when I was a little kid, I was fascinated when I saw Sleeping Beauty. And it wasn't so much that I watched cartoons as a kid, I just knew that it was like living drawings and art. I'm like, how do they do that? Like to me, when I was like 4, I'm like, I understood that much, but I didn't have any clue. And, you know, I'm interested in performance and that sort of thing. And so I kind of always hoped to go to Disney one day. And that's why I kept kind of practicing drawings. And so this is sort of examples of drawings I did just after high school that actually got me into Disney and DreamWorks and stuff. So you can see these are like pen drawings. These are my sister's feet. And I think those hands on the left are King Kong Bundy's hands. To learn how to draw hands, believe it or not, I actually bought wrestling magazines when I was in high school, because I realized that every single page, I forced myself to draw the wrestler's hands. It wasn't so much I liked wrestling, even though rest in peace, Macho Man. Anyone hear about that? Anyway, I would do things like, they point and they had all these dynamic shapes. And I really wanted to simplify and understand the process of the thickness of line and the weight of the line. And some of these, like looking at this drawing now, this is a pretty stiff drawing. I shouldn't really have that, but this is much looser. But I try to have economy of line as well. So I just sort of always the pursuit of learning, and Claude Watson certainly opened me up to that. So these are some examples of just some life studies. And when I went to, after I went to Earl Haig, I went to Sheridan. And I was lucky enough, it was a 4-year program, and it's pretty hard to get into. But Claude Watson really set me up. I got to skip first year, and I think that really helped me skipping first year, because I was a bit younger than everyone else, and it was highly competitive. And I think back then I had a real competitive spirit, which I learned to grow out of, because the best lesson I learned from my mentor, my master, was you can really only compete with yourself. You can't stop when anyone else is doing, so don't even try. You better worry about your own work, you better worry about how good you are, because that's what's going to get you ahead. You can't worry about anyone else. And that was sort of like enlightening for me, because I used to yell at myself in the car. I'm like, a D? A D? A C+? Are you serious? You want to be an animator one day? Go home! I'd yelling at myself, and I would go home, and I would drown myself, and I would draw in the basement. I'm telling you, you can ask my sisters, and I had a pool and a trampoline, and my friggin' friends would be jumping off my garage, off the trampoline in the pool, and I'd be sitting there drawing, hands from wrestling magazines and stuff.